The Sikorsky MH-60G HH-60G Pave Hawk is a twin-turboshaft engine helicopter in service with the United States Air Force. It is a derivative of the UH-60 Black Hawk and incorporates the US Air Force PAVE electronic systems program. The HH-60/MH-60 is a member of the Sikorsky S-70 family. The MH-60G Pave Hawk's primary mission is insertion and recovery of special operations personnel, while the HH-60G Pave Hawk's core mission is recovery of personnel under stressful conditions, including search and rescue. Both versions conduct day or night operations into hostile environments. Because of its versatility, the HH-60G may also perform peacetime operations. Such tasks include civil search and rescue, emergency aeromedical evacuation, disaster relief, international aid, counter-drug activities and NASA Space Shuttle support. Design and development. In 1981, the US Air Force chose the UH-60A Black Hawk to replace its HH-3 East Jolly Green Giant helicopters. After acquiring some UH-60s, the Air Force began upgrading each with an air refueling probe and additional fuel tanks in the cabin. The machine guns were changed from 0.308 in M60S to 0.50 in XM218S. These helicopters were referred to as Credible Hawks, and entered service in 1987. Afterward, the Credible Hawks and new UH-60s were upgraded and designated MH-60G Pave Hawk. These upgrades were to be done in a two-step process. But funding only allowed 16 Credible Hawks to receive the second-step equipment. These helicopters were allocated to special operations use. The remaining 82 Credible Hawks received the first-step upgrade equipment and were used for combat search and rescue. In 1991, these search and rescue Pave Hawks were redesignated HH-60G. The Pave Hawk is a highly modified version of the Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk. It features an upgraded communications and navigation suite that includes an integrated inertial navigation, global positioning, Doppler navigation systems, satellite communications, secure voice, and have-quick communications. The term PAVE stands for Precision Avionics Vectoring Equipment. All HH-60Gs have an automatic flight control system, night vision goggles, lighting and forward-looking infrared system that greatly enhances night low-level operations. Additionally, some Pave Hawks have color weather radar and an engine rotor blade anti-ice system that gives the HH-60G an all-weather capability. Pave Hawk mission equipment includes a retractable in-flight refueling probe, internal auxiliary fuel tanks, 2 crew-served 7.62 miniguns or .50 caliber machine guns and an 8,000-pound capacity cargo hook. To improve air transportability and shipboard operations, all HH-60Gs have folding rotor blades. Pave Hawk combat enhancements include a radar warning receiver, infrared jammer and a flare chaff countermeasure dispensing system. HH-60G rescue equipment includes a hoist capable of lifting a 600-pound load from a hover height of 200 feet, and a personnel locating system. A number of Pave Hawks are equipped with an over-the-horizon tactical data receiver that is capable of receiving near real-time mission update information. Operational history. The U.S. Air Force HH-60G Pave Hawk is operated by the Air Combat Command, U.S. Air Forces in Europe, Pacific Air Forces, Air Education and Training Command, the Air Force Reserve Command and the Air National Guard as of 2012. A number of HH-60Gs are also operated by the Air Force Materiel Command for flight test purposes. During Operation Desert Storm, Pave Hawks provided combat search and rescue coverage for coalition air forces in western Iraq, Saudi Arabia, coastal Kuwait and the Persian Gulf. They also provided emergency evacuation coverage for U.S. Navy sea, air and land teams penetrating the Kuwaiti coast before the invasion. All MH-60Gs were subsequently divested by Air Force Special Operations Command in 1991. At that time, most MH-60Gs were redesignated as HH-60Gs and transferred to Air Combat Command, and ACC gained Air Force Reserve Command and Air National Guard units. During Operation Allied Force, the Pave Hawk provided continuous combat search and rescue coverage for NATO air forces, and successfully recovered 2 US Air Force pilots who were isolated behind enemy lines. In March 2000, 3 Pave Hawks deployed to Hoedspruit Air Force Base in South Africa, to support international flood relief operations in Mozambique. The HH-60Gs flew 240 missions in 17 days and delivered more than 160 tons of humanitarian relief supplies. Air Force Pave Hawks from the Pacific Theater also took part in a massive humanitarian relief effort in early 2005 in Sri Lanka to help victims of the tsunami. In the fall of 2005, Pave Hawks from various Air Force commands participated in rescue operations of Hurricane Katrina survivors, rescuing thousands of stranded people. Pave Hawks have regularly operated during Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn, and continue to be operated in Operation Enduring Freedom, supporting Army and Marine Corps ground combat operations and standby search and rescue support for U.S. and coalition fixed-wing combat aircraft supporting those ground operations. Replacement: the first attempt to replace the HH-60G Pave Hawk was in 1999 when the Air Force identified a need for a helicopter with improved range, speed, and cabin space. An options analysis was completed in 2002 and funding for 141 aircraft under the Personal Recovery Vehicle program began in 2004. In 2005, it was renamed CSARX, meaning Combat Search and Rescue. Sikorsky entered the HH-92 Super Hawk, Lockheed Martin entered the VH-71 Kestrel, and Boeing entered the HH-47 Chinook. The HH-47 won the competition in November 2006, but the award was cancelled after successful protests from both other competitors. A request for proposals was reissued in 2007, but protested again before proposals were received, leading to the second cancellation of the CSARX program. In March 2010, the US Air Force announced a recapitalization plan to return its 99 aircraft inventory to 112 airframes by incremental replacement of aging HH-60Gs. A secondary plan to replace of 13 attrition HH-60s, 7 of which have been lost in combat since 2001, has also begun implementation. The Air Force deferred secondary combat search and rescue requirements that called for a larger helicopter. A UH-60M-based version was being offered as a replacement. On October 22, 2012, the Air Force issued an RFP for a combat rescue helicopter, seeking up to 112 aircraft to replace the HH-60G. The primary mission will be personnel recovery from hostile territory, and also execute humanitarian missions, civil search and rescue, disaster relief, casualty and medical evacuation. The helicopter must have a combat radius of 225 mi, a payload of 1,500 lb, and space for up to 4 stretchers. It is planned for 4 development aircraft to be delivered in 2016, with 5 more in an operational configuration in 2018. Low-rate initial production will add a further 18 helicopters, with the remaining 85 units to be procured during full-rate production. The Aegistorland AW101 was one competition entrant. By December 2012, competitors Aegistorland, EADS, Boeing, and Bell Helicopter had dropped out, claiming that the RFP favored the Black Hawk and did not reward their aircraft's capabilities. The Air Force argued that the competition was not written to favor Sikorsky, and that the terms were clear as to the capabilities they wanted and could afford. The $6.8 billion contract was delayed to the first quarter of FY 2014 to complete an independent cost estimate and the impact of government furloughs. Sikorsky was the only bidder remaining, with Lockheed Martin as a subcontractor. Sikorsky and the Air Force conducted an extensive evaluation of their submission, the CRH-60, a variant of the MH-60 Black Hawk Special Operations Helicopter. The initial Air Force FY 2015 budget proposal unveiled in September 2013 cancelled the CRH program due to sequestration budget cuts, instead retaining the HH-60 fleet. In a December 12, 2013 letter to Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, 74 congressmen expressed their support for the recapitalization of the combat rescue helicopter fleet and not allow budget pressures to impact its life-saving mission. The proposed HH-60 differs from the MH-60 Black Hawk by having a greater payload capacity, wider rotor blades, better hovering ability, and 20% more cabin space. Lockheed will supply mission equipment and the electronic survivability suite. A spending bill unveiled in January 2014 allocated $333,558,000 to the CRH as a Congressional Special Interest Item. The bill read that there must be a replacement program, but it has to be affordable to avoid being cancelled. Both Sikorsky and the Air Force said they need funding projections for FY 2015 and onwards. Congress stated it would attempt to add CRH funding if the Air Force could not. Over $300 million was allocated to the program in FY 2014, with $430 million to be moved from other areas through FY 2019 to finance it. Competitive pricing and congressional support will provide early funding, but the program may have to be re-evaluated if additional defense cuts take effect in FY 2016. On June 26, 2014, the Air Force awarded Sikorsky and Lockheed a $1.3 billion contract for the first 4 aircraft, with 112 total to be procured for up to $7.9 billion. 5 more are to be delivered by 2020, with the entire order to be completed by 2029. Variants: HH-60A, prototype for the HH-60D rescue helicopter. A modified UH-60A primarily designed for combat search and rescue. It is equipped with a rescue hoist with a 200 AFT cable that has a 600 lb lift capability, and a retractable in-flight refueling probe. HH-60D Night Hawk, prototype of combat rescue variant for the US Air Force. HH-60E, proposed search and rescue variant for the US Air Force. HH-60G Pave Hawk, search and rescue helicopter for the US Air Force. UH-60A Credible Hawk were updated to the HH-60G configuration as part of the first phase in a 2-phase program. MH-60G Pave Hawk, special operations, search and rescue model for the US Air Force. Equipped with long-range fuel tanks, air-to-air refueling capability, FLIR, improved radar. Powered by T700 GE700-700 firsts engines. HH-60H Rescue Hawk, special operations, search and rescue model for the U.S. Navy. Equipped with long-range fuel tanks, FLIR, and 2 BAU auxiliary fuel armament racks allowing the addition of external fuel tanks and the Hellfire guided weapons system. Mapper Hawk, proposed search and rescue version for the Canadian Forces to replace aging CH-113 Labradors. The CF opted for the CH-149 Cormorant instead. HH-60M, a search and rescue version of UH-60M with a glass cockpit and more powerful engines. HH-60P Pave Hawk, a combat search and rescue variant of UH-60P, in service with Republic of Korea Air Force. Confirmed equipment of external tank system and FLIR for night operations. Operators: a United States Air Force 305th Rescue Squadron, 55th Rescue Squadron, 33D Rescue Squadron, 512th Rescue Squadron, 210th Rescue Squadron, 56th Rescue Squadron, 129th Rescue Squadron, 41st Rescue Squadron, 66th Rescue Squadron, 101st Rescue Squadron, 301st Rescue Squadron, 413th Flight Test Squadron. Specifications. Data from USAF 2008 Almanac. USAF Fact Sheet, General Characteristics, Crew, 4, Capacity, Max Crew 6, 8 €12 Troops, plus litters and or other cargo, Length, 64 feet 10 inches, Rotor diameter, 53 feet 8 in, Height, 16 feet 8 in, Empty weight, 16,000 pounds, Max takeoff weight, 22,000 pounds, Power plant, 2 General Electric T700 GE700-700 first C free turbine turboshafts, 1,630 shp each, performance, maximum speed, 195 knots, cruise speed, 159 carats. Range, 373 miles, or 508 miles, service ceiling, 14,000 feet, armament, 2x 7.62 mm miniguns or 2x 0.50 and GAU-18/S, board systems, Instopolar navigation, SATCOM satellite communications, secure anti-jam communications, LARS range steering radio to compatible survivor radios, automatic flight control, NVG night vision goggle lighting, FLIR forward-looking infrared radar, color weather radar, engine rotor blade anti-ice system, retractable in-flight refueling probe, integral rescue hoist, RWR combat enhancement, IR infrared jamming unit, flare chaff countermeasure dispensing system. See also U.S. helicopter armament subsystems, related development, Sikorsky S-70, Sikorsky S-60 Hawk, Sikorsky HH-60G Hawk, Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk, Sikorsky H-92 Super Hawk, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era, Boeing MH-47EG, Sikorsky MH-53 Pave Low, related lists, list of Sikorsky S-70 models, list of helicopters, list of active United States military aircraft, references, notes. Bibliography, Leone, Ray D. Black Hawk, The Story of a World-Class Helicopter, American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, 2007. ISBN 978-1-56347-918-2. Tomarczuk, Stephen F. Black Hawk, MBI, 2003. ISBN 0-7603-1591-4. External links, USAF HH-60G Pave Hawk Factsheet, HH-60 page and MH-60 page on globalsecurity.org, Sikorsky S-70 page on helis.com.